have you got a question?
No, it's
okay. Stephen.
Can I just come back to the letter of direction? And you said that you conducted really intensive work, and yet at the end of 10 months of really intensive work, you did not know if the assets were tainted. If there's a major failure of systems and controls in a firm, would you expect regulatory enforcement action?
I think the role of the
Saved
FSA...
by the bell.
I'll wait for the answer. That's all right.
I think the role of the FSA is to look at both prudential regulation and conduct of business in relation to retail business in this country. Any allegation of any kind of criminal activity clearly would be for law enforcement agencies, but would not be a matter of financial regulation. Sure.
That wasn't Mr. Scholar, and in the interest of declaring, I worked for the FSA for 4 years, and including was the PRIN owner in terms of the policy handbook. Hence my question, would you have expected any enforcement action? No individual at RBS or Lloyds has been subject, as I'm aware, to any individual enforcement action. There was clearly a failure of systems and controls. Would you, as the architects of the regulatory regime, or did you have any discussions with the FSA in terms of individual enforcement actions?
Well, as you know, the FSA have conducted their own internal review of what enforcement actions they should take, and they've concluded that they are not going to take any, and they've given a commitment to publish a report explaining why they have taken that view. So I wouldn't want to prejudge that, and nor could I, because that's work that they took out rather than us. I mean, we have, throughout this period, kept them very closely in touch with our work on the asset protection scheme, and indeed what it was telling us about the state of systems and controls and risk management within RBS. And I think that's something that they are concerned about. It's something that RBS management is also concerned about. Don't forget that it's new management, and in answer to one of the earlier questions, the new management at RBS have been fully cooperative throughout the design and implementation of the scheme. And so that's something that they're looking to put right, and the FSA have also said that they will in future adopt a much more intrusive approach to regulation.
Sure, but no individual has been subject to an individual fine. I mean, the finance director, I think there's been discussions around his role, but as far as I'm aware, no individual at RBS or Lloyds has been fined. That's correct.
As far as I know.
Okay, let's come back afterwards. Sorry. And I think it's either Stephen going on or Matt. Stephen, do you want to go on?
Yeah, please. Well, I think where we left it was just around the intensive work that was done for 10 months, and yet a letter of direction was required. Given your concerns over the assets being tainted, what conclusions did you draw as to the work of the auditors, Deloitte's, on those assets?
Well, I haven't. I don't think it falls to us to assess auditors' performance, but I do think there is a generic question about the role of auditors in relation to banks during the banking crisis.
You couldn't trust the work of the auditors?
Well, certainly some quite serious questions, I think, have to be asked about the accounts which were signed off through that period.
On the technical issue of the direction, though, the direction related to the standards set out in managing public money, which are the standards that are typically required in the public sector, and that's obviously a different test from the test that the auditors have to make in
Can you expand
accounts.
on that a bit?